Hello and welcome to Deft and Dorky. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons and talk about other systems and stuff.
Are we Brianless?
How's everyone doing? Brian will be here shortly. He will be here, but he is not here yet.
We're doing good. We're talking about other, more interesting systems of play.
Other more interesting. Well, today is just a wrap up. I'm going to talk a little bit about what your characters plan to do after the adventure, and then if any like loose ends or questions that either you guys have or anyone who's watching might have, we can talk about those.
Hot dang.
So we can start at the top left. What's Mouse do after this is complete?
So, Mouse, he has plans to go back to the Aegis, work his way back into being a field agent, a good one. At the same time, he's going to work with his best bud Paraphane and Graven, and kind of be an inside man to the Aegis and work with Graven on the side.
Oh, really?
He's going to be kind of a double agent. Yeah, he's going to go back
He's
to his
going
roots.
evil.
He wants to go back to his roots. So he started with, he started out as a as a thief in a thieves guild with Paraphane, and now that he back up with Paraphane, he wants to do that, but he thought he wants to stick with the Aegis so he could still learn his increase his magical power,
Okay.
and at the same time kind of like have an insight into what's going on in the other side of the world as well.
Dang.
And he's going to use what money he's got. He's going to buy a small little skiff to fish in his downtime. He likes to fish.
All right. Cool. Anything else?
He might. He also in his other downtime he might have work on following in Tassarin's footsteps and trying to create magical items.
Okay.
I think that's where he's going to go with his life.
All right. What about, so we'll go clockwise. About you, Saturn?
Think Saturn would hang out with Bonnick for a while, go round up all those slave traders, and then spend some time building up the company.
Oh yeah, the boat company. Dang.
Guess right after this, he would figure out how to get his mom out of the jar. And after the stuff with Bonnick, I think Saturn would take his mom and go to back to the Feywilds. And at the Feywilds, maybe get with Saluna about taking her powers back, and he'd spend his time honing in his sorcery and building up his own strength. And retiring in the Feywild.
Okay. With your mom and Tempest? Okay. Yeah, your mom is, I'll let you decide what you do. She, as a spirit, was content to just go on. But you have the resources if you want to try to, like, resurrect her. But she kind of goes back and forth with you. She's been through a lot. She's ready to move on. If you don't want to try to talk her out of it.
Yeah, if she's ready to move on, then I think that would even make the decision easier for Saturn to go to the Feywild.
Okay. And then, so over the next, few years, dozen years, whatever, undead have become more prominent, and you, especially, can realize that it is because Shar is locked away. So there's no one to, like, rein everything in the Shadowfell. that power just getting splintered, and more of these not big but smaller incursions into the material plane keep happening. Is there anything you want to do to try to change that, or are you just sort of letting that be?
If that did start to happen, that would be more reason for Saturn to go and be around Saluna. He would hone in on his sorcery powers to try and use that to, if dire straits come, to take in Char again, to restrain her inside himself if need be.
Okay. Yeah, it never gets dire. So I don't know what your definition of that is. It never threatens the realm or anything, but it's an annoyance, a constant annoyance.
He would be fighting it.
Okay. Are you going to like fight it on the material plane, or try to either free Char by yourself or convince Saluna to let Char go?
I'd probably just fight it
Okay.
myself.
All right. Anything else?
What
All right.
would we doing?
That'll keep you busy for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's a life's work. Summed up in 5 minutes.
Yep. Tez-Tuzmo. What's Tez-Tuzmo doing?
Opening a zoo.
Boy,
Yes, that would be incredible.
he's gonna head back to where his parents were. And
Okay.
he's gonna run the place. He's gonna take control. He's gonna bring him to prosperity.
Sick.
Clean out all the pirates over there. All the bad stuff. Kind of his plan.
Look at how far you've come, intern.
Okay. That's it?
Clean out all the pirates. Maybe form his own little nation of Tesmos.
Nation.
Okay. Anything else?
Nation of turtles.
That's probably about it.
Okay. What's
Halloween.
Merton doing?
If Martin's interested in those slave traders, so I think he'd join Vonik.
And Saturn.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, and Saturn to go deal with that. I don't think he's content enough to go back home. He's still kind of a grumpy man and doesn't want to think about his past, so I think he'd go live on that ship, live on our ship.
Okay.
Retire sailing. He was a happy old man when he was on that boat. So
All
You
right.
can be captain, dude.
no, didn't want that.
Oh, okay.
Don't want the responsibility of captain.
Just want to be a guy on a boat.
You know the guy at your job that like just the old guy who doesn't have any responsibility. He just goes in and does his job. That's Martin.
Yeah. He doesn't want to stop working.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to stop. So he would happily go deal with the slave traders. If he found that Tez-Tuzmo was dealing with pirates, he'd probably hop over there and help out with that. And then stay on the ship.
All right. Anything else?
But his
Journey.
end goal in life would be to get the name of the boat changed.
He can take.
That boat is going to the bottom of the sea with that name on it.
I'd be willing to negotiate.
Vonik. What are you doing?
Well, I think I'm gonna obviously take out a bunch of slave traders, as you do. Round them up, take them out, all at once. Just gather them all together in one place, and we burn them all alive in one big celebration. And then, after that,
We're the good guys.
Yeah. I was gonna say they aren't all twirling their mustaches. Some of them had no idea what was going on.
no, we're only going for the ringleaders, dude. The organization falls apart after that. You just take out all the ones at the top. It'll be fun, like a
Oh,
movie,
okay, so
like an
that's-
action movie.
That's like almost nobody on that list that you got.
Well, I didn't say it was going to happen in 2 weeks.
All right.
I'm not going whole up, guys. 2-week vacation. I'm going to take care of this global slave trading problem. And then after that, I'm going to go back up the mountain. And I'm going to bring in a new age of peace amongst giants and create a small nation state that in the future everyone will be really into, even though we're a shell of our former selves. A
Okay.
glorious mountain culture that doesn't really have enough people in the short term to do anything. But in the long term, past my life, the goal is to set it up for success.
Okay. Anything else?
I'd like to add for Tesmo that
Okay.
he fixes the aging problem of 75 and he bumps it up to like 300 years to 400. Maybe
Okay,
500.
that
Dang,
doesn't
that.
He fixes the aging
Okay, if
problem.
he can do that, then I go and I wrestle God again. But this time I win. And I take over his realm.
I have.
I didn't know we could go that far.
What
What do you mean?
else,
Because
Vonic?
turtles don't have like any sort of lifespan
Yeah.
when they should.
Yeah, because they live up
Yeah.
to like 75 years. It's ridiculous.
They can just crossbreed the turtles until they get a long life.
Anything else for Vonic, or is that does that pretty much cover it?
I mean, I feel like that's definitely life's work right there.
Sure. Just didn't know if you had for any other like bullet points for it. But if not, that's
Well, I
fine. That sounds good.
I mean, we can walk you through the forming of a nation, bullet point by bullet point.
What about Jace?
I create treaties with the nations around me and like
Okay.
negotiate contracts and trade.
These could all be splintered up into a bunch of different like
Yeah,
tribes.
yeah, we can build out the whole
Um,
system right now.
Yeah, dude. People could claim lineage.
Yeah.
Civilization.
I'm-
religion.
I'm 1/16 Vonicite.
Royal lineage.
Sorry.
No, we're a democracy, dude.
1/8 was the cutoff.
Exactly. Not everybody gets a scholarship, right?
We ain't got the kind of funds. We don't have all the casinos. It's hard to build a casino in the mountains.
Yeah, dude.
Easy to
Well,
build
hey,
one
I
on a
mean, you
boat.
know,
All that going up, you know.
you got a riverboat gambling
Oh yeah.
enterprise.
Oh yeah. I
Oh.
forgot it. The boating business. Yes. Okay, I do want to add that, and develop our boating business into the FedEx of the ancient medieval world.
Okay.
And it comes full circle because you would sponsor the handball stadium that has like a
Yeah.
questionable kind of association with one of the tribes.
Absolutely.
And you could call it
Vonic Arena.
FedEx,
Yeah, and
FedEx
you know what?
Field.
While we're just rolling on this train, I'm gonna go back to the place where I was captured, retake that area, and then start the MMA in that arena
Okay.
and
There you
spread
go.
that across the globe as well.
There you go. Love that. Spread that across the globe. You become Dana White.
Dude, I am just the richest, most successful man of all time, building nations, building shipping companies, and building the most popular violent sport in existence.
Your Dana White. Jace will become your Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. We'll start you start a podcast. It's gonna be ink.
Hey,
and
if
red,
we're if we're starting stuff and Saturn's killing undead, he's setting up like Van Helsing crew of Demon Slayer
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
training people.
Love that. Huh.
So what's Jace doing?
Sorry. I think immediately after Jace helps Sid recover in whatever way he possibly can, he would do his utmost to kind of set up his family in whatever way, shape, or form possible. I think that he would struggle because there's very much part of Jace that wants to like rebuild home, right? But also like that was the site of everything that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he feels ready to move on from that. And so I think that like, you know, with mom being in I think Takriel,
Yep, she's in Takria.
Takria. What does Aid do?
I mean, he has the ability to get out at this point, but unless you really like, if you really try to get him to get out, then he would probably get out. But also, he is still he's still in because like the aftermath. He's worries that they're going to come back since they didn't capture Jensamar.
Yeah, Jensamar, dude.
But yeah, if you worked on him, you could get him to get out. But that's kind of up to you. I kind of wanted to leave that up to you since it's part of your backstory.
I think that and I guess let me ask you this: how's Sid?
Sid is not the same person. He
Right.
is. I mean, it would be akin to going through bouts of depression.
Sure.
There are days that he's fine, but there are days that he's not.
Some real PTSD kind of stuff,
Yeah.
given what he went through. I think I would do, like, I think first thing I would do is like, hey, we are getting on a boat and we are going to Takria. Like, Mom has a place there. We can set that up as our temporary house of operations. And I think he would help his brother through his recovery. I think that he would avail himself to aid whenever he needed. But I do think that there's part of Jace that always, like, he loved the family business. He loved being on the water. He loved just being able to do good with it. And I think that there's always part of him, like in the Ledric Sea, that just felt like it connected, you know? I think he would go and he would go to the temple and he would kind of conclude his pact with Aurene and can continue to kind of have a sense of self-mastery over the powers that kind of exist within him. And continue to develop that. I think that there would be periodic, communing with Aurene, just because of the inherent nature within him. And I think he would just kind of have this like in-between life where he's just kind of less unstable about it, but just like, I'm going to help Aid now. I'm going to help Sid now. I'm going to help I want to be on the water and I have this semi-legitimate venture with these people, so I'm going to assist with that. And I can definitely help with that because of his background and experience. And I think he may take a portion of what he can to buy his own boat and to try and kind of establish some kind of similar setup for himself as he had in Lowbrook. And then I think lastly, he would visit Merton's daughter. But in a legitimate sense, like make it a real effort,
Okay.
So, and I think that would mean that he would be very much tied to Takria. So.
Okay. Cool. So with those things said, what questions or anything do you guys have about either roads not taken or loose ends that you want that I will try to answer? Because
I think
I don't know yet.
Squeaky Yoda had a couple questions.
Okay.
in Twitch. He asked, "Was that really Atrix that we found in the Goblin
Oh.
camp?"
Yes, that was Atrix. Atrix got captured. That was the last we saw. He was then essentially tortured into and brainwashed into fighting for the goblins with different conjurations of magic and potions and stuff. And that the big footsteps that you guys heard was essentially one of those. They had given these potions to one of their own, a goblin that was made huge, and he was going to come and fight you guys. But after that, they started doing it to Atrix. And Atrix, that's why he was huge. He got killed by the Gith when they were out looking for because you guys had killed one of their patrols and tried to bury it. They eventually found it over the course of time, and then they were like trying to figure out who did it, and they came across a goblin camp and cleared it out. And they gave all that stuff to Atrix to fight them off, but he got killed by the Gith. But yeah, that was Atrix.
He also wanted to know what happened to Feathers.
That is the most important question
So
that we'll ask all evening.
Feathers, there was a couple ways it could have gone. Because it was going to depend on if you guys still needed information. But the gist of it is, up in Riolo, which was one of the points of the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were in Plena, and there was those undead that came out in the first session. And then right around that, you guys figured out at about that same time that Beholder popped out in Edivos. And also at that same time, there was a Fey portal that was up in Riolo, which is where Tez Tuzma was coming back from. And what was going to have happened is that as Tez Tuzma and Feathers are walking back towards the main road from Riolo, a Fey portal pops open. They get pulled into it, both of them. And when they have their own little adventure in there, essentially. And as they're going through that, Feathers meets somebody and wants to settle down in the Feywild. Tez Tuzma is like, all right, cool. Well, I'll see you around, and I'll come back and visit occasionally. And when he leaves the Feywild, he rolls low. Memory is wiped. Does not remember any of that. So if you guys were to go to Riolo, you would have found there are lots of little Fey creatures. There's some blink dogs and stuff. People that had kept some of them that didn't go back. Some of the undead went back, then you killed some of them. Some of those Fey creatures were sort of kept as pets secretly. And you would have figured out that there was a Fey thing that went there. And if you went into the Feywild and tried to find out what was going on, you would have found Feathers, and he'd have been like, Tez Tuzma, finally you came back to visit, and you would not have remembered any of that.
There you go, Speaky Yoda. Did that answer your questions? That's all he had.
What was the plan for Atrix? Whenever he was gonna go underneath, reclaim his thing.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, who was the bad guy in that too? Some evil general or something?
Okay, so what David had given me was that the chieftain of his village had kicked him out. So what was going on there, and the reason, and it sort of tied into that medallion that he had that the beetles came out of. I don't know if you guys remember when you were walking through the jungle the first time, you came across some beetle folk. And they just sort of you couldn't communicate with them, but you guys both just sort of went your separate ways, and there was nothing really happened. But they were part of a village that they're one of their big legendary warriors. That that medallion was his, but you weren't wearing it on the outside, so they didn't see it. And that was stolen by goblins at some point, and you had then raided some goblin village and taken it. And that was it. Yeah, that had the spirit of one of their great warriors, and his last memory was sort of encased in it, and that was the dream that you kept having where you were getting stabbed and killed. That was his last memory, was him being killed by this shadow fiend, which had come. He was locked away by other beetle folk while he was being distracted by killing this warrior. And then he had come back and was pulling strings at Atrix's old place, and he was the reason that the chieftain had sent Atrix away, because he feared that Atrix would be able to control the army and have an uprising against this like new regime. So he sent Atrix away while he took over that stuff. Yeah. That was that. You were gonna go and fight that guy and see where things went from there.
Oh boy. I wish that happened.
Well, maybe if you didn't go take on a whole gathering by yourself.
I tried getting people with me. You guys didn't want to join. We could have taken it.
I don't know that we could have. We were at level 3 at the
Edris
time.
was almost able to solo it. He almost won.
Was he?
I don't feel like you're remembering it different than I remember.
Like half the goblins started running at you, and then they're like, "Ah, they got her."
They got it.
Yeah, what else? Let's see, what happens to the mansion? That's kind of up to you guys. So
Dude, I'll keep it as my vacation home.
the Gilded Shadow ends up like if they kind of like ask if they can have a presence at the mansion because it's convenient. But if you guys let them, they will. If you don't let them, they won't. But they do end up moving into that sinkhole because they have found, like, with a little bit of work, that nexus can be like reignited, and they can have access to all the different realms, which is a lot easier to get black market goods if you have access to those planes easier.
Gotcha.
So they kind of move into that. But the mansion is kind of up to you guys what you do with it.
I think Jace would try to weigh influence on like the extent of what they're able to do. Like, no more getting shiz for crazy people like Reginald Booley. Like, you guys have to be a little bit more responsible in vetting out who you're working for.
You can do crime. It's not
Yes.
bad crime.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mouse would be secretly working for them. So,
Which is great. We got somebody on the inside that's kind of monitoring the juju.
and since Mouse also has an easy way to get to and from the mansion, he'd probably use that as a second place to like do his studies
Okay.
for magical arcanery type magical weapons, stuff like that. Whatever he's creating.
Okay. Yeah, that mansion, I mean, it can be instrumental in you sort of getting enchanting stuff down faster, because you have all the notes back at your tower, but at the mansion there's essentially an assistant there that sort of is used to assisting with magical stuff. So
Well, I'd probably at some point start bringing over the Library of Tassarin and incorporating it into that mansion, just because it's.
okay.
Well, honestly, Mouse grew up in that tower, but the tower he never even knew where it was at.
Where was
That
the
died.
tower?
That kind of
could
died
find
with
out.
Tassarin.
All you'd have to do is hike away from it. Like,
Yeah.
you could use a map.
Well, where is
Or
it?
You could hike for 300 miles and never get anywhere. You never know how far into this.
Yeah,
But you have magic.
It's like the Schrodinger's
You
tower.
can use
Like, there was-
divining rods.
it was I didn't have a spot for it.
No, there was no spot. I don't think there was a spot.
If you guys really dug into it, there would have been a spot, and it just would have been out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's just like in a forest somewhere. That's like how it was described. You could have found out. It's not like an impossible mystery.
When I wrote the backstory for Mouse, I kind of thought the tower was far enough away where Tassarin could do his work without the eyes of the Aegis, who he was also a high-ranking person with.
Yeah, and
Keeping an eye on
if you would have walked out far enough, you also would have realized that past a certain point, there's like a illusion over it, and you don't see it anymore.
It's invisible, like the mansion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like the mansion.
Like the mansion.
Where'd I put that?
And they're not impossible to find. We found that invisible mansion.
Can I ask, like, what did Merton do? Like, I feel like his past is shrouded in a lot of, like, yuckity yuck. No, not yuckity yuck. Yucky yuck.
Merton was a cobbler, had a wife, like ex army, and I think they were like, I gotta remember some of it. They were broke. Taxman came. Bad times. Also got like a letter saying that my son had died. All kind of hit the same time. This is sort of like the origin of becoming a barbarian. And we finally pay the tax man, and then a brigand comes in, kills the tax man, takes the money, and then what else? I'm reading it.
Well, this part of what you gave me ended up being a false memory implanted by.
Right.
So if you want to know,
I'll tell you my story, and then,
Okay.
then he can correct it.
okay.
So yeah, all that's going on. It's a terrible time, and then Merton blacks out, which is why I'm a frenzy barbarian. I kind of had to I lose the memory of that. And when he came to, everyone was dead. He's holding his maul. His maul's bloody, including his wife is dead, and so he runs. And he ran to the start of the campaign. So that's why he didn't want to go back to town, because it's just memories of. He thinks he's not sure if he killed his wife, but he thinks he probably did.
Mm.
In his blind rage.
Yeesh. So what happened?
So, yeah, they were poor, and the tax collector was coming, like bothering them. And then one day, he came and see, because I got it written down. I want to make sure I get this right. So things got heated when Merton couldn't pay, and then he, out of anger, he throws a hammer that he had been using to fix some shoes at the tax collector just to scare him, and missed him intentionally. The tax collector then picks it up and like heaves it back at Merton. Merton easily like dodges out of the way, no big deal. But the hammer hits his wife and kills her.
Yeesh.
And Merton then goes enraged and kills the tax collector. And then Eorlin happens to be like coming home for a visit from the Aegis with a friend, and sees him like on his knees just crying over his dead wife, and not being able to like snap him out of it or know what's going on. She has her friend do a modify memory spell, who he's like not amazing at this level of magic, but it's just like a new thing he's sort of learned, and so he messes some of it up. And this he had like been, he was a history buff, and he'd been reading about this Boris the Blade, and was like, okay, I'll have this Boris the Blade be the antagonist in this memory. But again, he wasn't great at it, so he accidentally puts his own face as this Boris the Blade guy that comes through town and kills everybody. So as they're doing that, they like get Merton like out of the city, and they implant this memory that his son is also dead, so that he doesn't try to go find his son. Because not knowing what's happening, Eorlin's like, if you find anybody and try to talk to them, make sure it's me. So get rid of everyone else. And when they go out of the city, and then the friend comes back and is like, I don't know what to do now. And she's like, all right, well, I've got mom. She's like going through it herself because her mom's dead, but she's got her mom and this tax collector like taken care of. They're like buried, and they're like, and she's like, why aren't you with my dad, and when they go to find him, he's gone.
That's crazy.
The truth comes out.
What was
Yeah, so if you had ever gone back to Ulstead, you would have the town constable would have had some questions for you. It's like, what? No one's in your house, and we've gotten reports of a missing tax collector. Said he was coming to talk to you.
I figured you'd bring me,
Smoke
you'd
that guy.
force us there at some point, but Martin definitely didn't want to go back.
I was gonna leave it up to you guys if you wanted to try to sneak through there or whatever, but you just never ended up going back.
what was the creepy basement thing with that one guy? Do you remember that with the light in the house, and it was near where Merton's village was, or where?
Oh, the other Kalishtar, right?
Maybe, I don't remember.
Yeah, the other Kalishtar, he had something weird going on.
Yeah, he noticed there was something wrong with your quarry because it was entangled with Shar. He was from the Aegis, but he didn't like where the direction it was going, and because he had seen a couple times that the Emancipators had just accused someone, and there was little to once you get accused, it was kind of over for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to do these weird experiments. In his basement, he had a essentially a golem down there that he was building and to be a assistant / friend. And if you guys had gone down there, it was going to be this, you go down there and this big rock thing stands up in front of you. And he just goes, "Hey guys." He was totally just going to be Korg from Avengers.
Hey guys. What was the weird light thing with his house?
That was just him downstairs, doing.
Oh, just
working.
doing stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
trying to keep it secret, but all the people in the town. That was one of those towns that was anti-magic / anti-Aegis, and that's where
Right.
he wanted to be, but he was also doing those things.
He's like your crazy
Wouldn't be
uncle.
out for
He's
it.
got a basement where he's mixing up chemicals and he's talking about the world ending and stuff like that.
Yeah. Prepper.
Yeah.
He wasn't a prepper.
he's got a bunker where he's doing magic. He's just a magic prepper.
The big "Don't tread on me" flag hanging up.
Yeah. But it's got a wizard on it instead of a snake.
What was the deal that Sid made? What happened there?
Oh, he just full out got tricked. The thing with your mom was that the demon lord that tricked him he didn't directly do it, but he had your mom cursed. In fact, I have a way, because there was it was a thing that it was a tricky thing that you wouldn't regular medicine didn't work, and basic low level cleric stuff wasn't working, because obviously your dad would have tried that, but it was just a thing that she was cursed in a way that was a little bit more complicated, and it was somewhat because of her and your dad's relationship to Aurene that she was chosen, but essentially that was one of the gears put in place early the thought of this was a potential sacrifice for Shalandro.
My mom?
Well, whoever decided, because it wasn't going to be your mom necessarily, because they had to come willingly. So it was
Okay.
a plant to get someone from your family to be like, I will do anything Just tell me what to do. And it would have been like a cherry on top if it was your dad, right? Because he was in tight with Aurene. But yeah, it was just to get someone to make a deal to come down there and then get corrupted. And so he made the deal with your brother and was like, all right, she's quote unquote fixed. But now she's something else.
Right. And he basically was just like, I'll do whatever, and like traded his soul. Is that the kind of thing? Or like,
I mean, basically, yeah.
What?
He was like, give me either fix it or give me the power to fix it. And he's like, I'll do whatever, man. All you got to do is sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
And he was like, you
Okay.
bet.
and what happened to him?
He was taken to the abyss and
Uh-huh.
corrupted. Like,
Okay.
because he was there so long, it slowly just corrupted him, and he couldn't really come back from it. And not only
Okay.
corrupted by the abyss, but also prepped for Shalandra himself, which was a little bit worse than just a simple abyssal corrupting.
Can we ask who Shalandro is? Like you said another name.
Oh,
I can't remember what it was.
Oh, he's the harbinger for the bonded one.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't answer that one just yet.
Okay. Bonded one also.
Correct.
Can't answer that one? Okay. Alright, I only wrote down 2 more questions.
Okay.
What was the gun that Saturn made?
It was. Well, you can tell him Saturn if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, it's just like a magic item that.
Saturn's clockwork blast.
Yeah, it was a thing that just enhanced his Eldritch blasts.
I basically like funnel my Eldritch blast into the handle, and it can fire it off. Like I can shoot all 3 charges of my Eldritch blast into it. It fires it off like a shotgun blast, like a blunderbuss up close.
Sick.
Yeah,
I
so
just remember there was a couple times where you tried to do it, and I think low roll or something, it didn't work out, and it was like,
It,
oh.
it acted like
great
was it?
weapon master.
yeah,
Yeah, so you take
Oh,
like 5
interesting.
off the accuracy, but it does more damage.
That's cool.
10 to damage.
Yeah, you can do that, or it also had the ability to like make him be able to fire from even further away.
I like to imagine that looks like one of those hand cannons.
Yeah. Like I think I could have if I used it, I could fire from 1,200 feet.
Yeah, she'll come in handy
With
for
Eldritch
keeping down those undead breakouts.
Yeah,
You had a scope.
that's the
1,200
thing.
feet.
Yeah,
Dude.
I'd imagine Saturn gets pretty good at hunting down undead. And I think he would get into the research of undead and really hone in so he knows how to kill every type of undead.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that's a odd point. Are you going to end your pact with Selûne, or are you going to, because this undead thing, are you going to keep it for a while?
I think because of this undead thing, I will keep it.
Okay.
And I will, maybe if I find people, me and Selûne talk about it, we bring in more people, become warlock. And maybe at some point try to work towards a resolution with the Aegis, to maybe create a section of the Aegis that is warlocks, Selûnites maybe.
If he does that, my
Work
country come
towards
back.
that.
That's
that way,
another
that
thing.
way that all we do is hunt down the undead issue. We'll
That's the
be
other
the
thing.
protectors against the undead.
With Mouse being in the Aegis, working his way up there, I think I would try, because of our party and the comp that we had, I would try to get the Aegis to start opening up, be more understanding of warlocks in general while I'm there. Kind of advocate for them.
Man.
Okay.
Do
Now that I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking, yo, paused. All those guys that are definitely 100% connected to the devil. They can be good guys. You gotta get them on a god by god basis.
Okay, this question's a two-parter. I guess I just want to ask about Traylor. Like,
I was going to ask about Trailer as well.
what the freak is he doing wanting a heart box of Amadrin? Like, it seemed like he wanted all the same parts to also make meth that Reginald Bully was looking for, right?
Yeah, dude, magic math.
I mean, as far as you know, he only asked for the one thing.
So,
I'm trying to decide how
What?
much of that I can divulge.
Yeah, can we hear how this connects to the other campaign? Because I know there was some
yes.
picking up a few. I remember picking up a few things, but I don't remember
Okay, that
I know,
I
why
can give
we
you. I can
fought
give you a
at
little
the
bit of
end.
that.
in what
Um,
order. And are we after the first campaign?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you guys remember when you were climbing up the mountain the second time, and I was having you make perception checks every day that were really high DC because it was like blizzard conditions.
Yeah.
If any of you had made that, because you were coming up that on the east side of those mountains, which was you were going like north of Graylin. Get my map out. Yeah, so you were coming up north of Graylin. I don't know if any of you were in the Tailspire.
Not Tailspire.
There we
But
go.
I can sort of show you.
I was alt tabbed.
So you were coming up
Okay.
this way, essentially.
So we were
to-
going up the mountain.
Yes, up and in.
Okay.
And whenever you got to around here, I was having you make those checks, but it was blizzard conditions and none of you made it. But if you had rolled high enough, you would have seen some weird, like down in this little valley, you would have seen some like some sort of infrastructure there, banners and like small structures. And down there is where recently was found a portal to a different planet, essentially, which is where you guys had found the last part in the previous campaign. You had found the last part of the device, and it was like some sort. All the language around was some sort of dwarvish that was close to what you had recognized, but not exactly the same kind of dwarvish. It's because that's where Cogred Blackthane had come through and started spreading out the pieces of the device. So Traylor was, you guys put him in jail last time. You didn't kill him. You put him away. He was still in contact with Creed, who was like going through and working the like different systems, trying to get things sorted, and continue to put in time with Traylor, and then good word with the people in charge of everything in the other world. He eventually was able to get enough people on board that, and like a series of events occurred simultaneously where Traylor had been essentially tortured through do I want to? I guess it's fine. He had been had feeble mind cast on him like every day, so he kept losing his intellect, and it was like basically the worst form of torture someone like that could endure.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he through these talks with Creed and Creed talking to the guards and stuff, he eventually was told, Creed told him to ask for death, because both of them knew that he had a clone stored away somewhere. So eventually they convinced these guards to just kill him and put him out of his misery. They kill him. He comes back in his clone. Creed finds him and has made certain arrangements to get him off of this world, because he doesn't have a life here anymore. If he gets seen, it's all bad. There's no good that can come from it. So he comes over here with Traylor, talks to the Aegis. Traylor offers the Aegis something that you guys don't know about yet, and the Aegis is like, oh, okay, yeah, he can hang out here. We're going to keep an eye on him. And they're like, okay. So he hangs out at the library every day.
So Creed made that arrangement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through his belief that Traylor, there was still like some semblance of good in him, Creed helped get that organized.
And was he right?
I don't know.
What's Creed up to then? Is Creed around, or is he still back
No,
at his
he's-
former place?
No, that's as far as anyone knows, Traylor's the only one that's come across and stayed.
Fuck.
They did have like some like information back and forth because it was new to both of them, but essentially it was decided that we probably shouldn't use this. We shouldn't let anyone know about this, and we're not going to do like a bunch of back and forths because we don't know. We don't want to do that. Neither side of people who were in charge wanted that to happen. Like Creed made these sort of deals around those higher ups. Like he found out about the Aegis, went straight to the like people there, and then really he only talked to like the people, not the people in charge, but the people guarding the site on his end. If that makes sense.
Okay, the Matsu Kent. Are they in this world?
That is his people. That's Creed's people, right?
Right, yeah.
No, they are not.
I thought it came up in this.
So Creed, the backstory you sent me, the deal that he made was okay. So the Matsukent, like, man, they tossed him off because he was male. I'm trying to remember. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And Traylor found him and took him in. Let's see, how did this go? Because the deal was that the deal he made with his patron essentially sent him to this world to like grow up, and then took him back to do. I don't remember what he was supposed to do there, but that's when Traylor found him and took him in. I have to go find those notes.
Interesting. Okay. So why did Traylor want a heart box of a modern?
I don't know.
Oh, we can't. Okay. Right. Okay. Cool.
Can't tell you about the heart box, dude.
And
That's where Davy Jones' heart is.
the like artifact from last campaign is tied to this world?
Yeah, the artifact from last campaign is what caused the Nethalon-Graelyn War. Or not what caused it, but what finished it, essentially.
Yeah.
Cogred Blackthane had been, like, working for... I think for Graelyn. I can't remember which side it was, but there was... Graelyn and Nethalon were at war. One of them was winning. And Cogred was working with the underdog to be like, we're going to lose. We need to come up with something. And they made this device that could make, like, everything in a large area basically invulnerable.
Right.
That underdog then starts to turn the tide, and Cogred sees that the king is not content with just staving off the war. They're now going to go on the offensive and start taking over things, and Cogred feels bad for that. And so he bails, finds some other like-minded wizards to make another one. And then, so that's when Nethalon and Graelyn actually, like, are able to battle. Both the monarchs die, and that's what causes the Aegis to come up, because they're like, we can't have this happen again. We have to monitor any kind of like magic use and all that stuff. So they unite. Like, that's sort of the first thing that, like, one of the good things to sort of come out of the Aegis is they do end up helping to unite the northern. They make the Northern Republic of Ortith, right? Graelyn and Nethalon become united to a certain degree, and then Cogred goes and starts the Aegis to make sure that doesn't happen again. And then that's after he takes the artifact, disassembles them, and puts them on the other world. Where they're
We have
then
the
found.
personal we still have his personal invulnerability sphere thing.
Yeah, that was an earlier prototype.
Is that Okay. Because we're still hiding that somewhere.
Yep, it's only got a few charges on it. Yeah, that was one of the early prototypes that he made, and it worked. But yeah, I think I had stuff written down for if you ended up casting Legend Lore on it, you would have seen. Because I think there's 2 or 3 charges used, and if you use Legend Lore on it, you would have seen how those charges got used. I have it written down somewhere, but I have to find it.
I think I scribed that spell at the very end of the campaign. I got it, and I finally scribed it, and I don't think we ever used it.
Whew. Oh, I was talking to you a little bit about the the woman that you had your your romantic encounter with at the mansion.
Nah.
She was so you had like made a pass at her and then sort of lost track of her, and she was going to Graven to be like, hey, I can talk to this guy. Should I talk to this guy? And Graven was like, yeah, find out anything you can. And so that's why she came to your room and gave you a truth serum.
Dirty, dirty,
sense.
dirty.
Dirty, dirty, dirty. Well,
Well,
Yeah, any other
What now?
questions about anything?
I think I'd like to say Turismo Empire becomes a great power. The world bends down to him.
Mm.
That's it.
I think
And
I
then
think
he
you
wakes
pretty
up.
much.
Ooh,
Then he
A
dies
total-
because he only lives to be like 60.
Yep.
Yep. Me too, buddy. I get it. You just do as much as you can.
who was Tempest's patron?
I didn't have a specific person. It wasn't a god though. It was just an archfey. Yeah, it was someone. It was an archfey that was like saw what he was doing and found out that he had been like, because he made a deal with a devil of some kind. I don't I have to look through notes and stuff, but essentially he made a deal with the devil, found out what was that like the devil was doing to like it was bad. What he was doing was bad, and was like, all right, I'm not using this power anymore. And he did come across some I think it was a satyr, I believe, that was in that slave trade and freed him along with some others. But the satyr was like, I got nowhere to go. I'm not from here. And so Tempest was like, okay, I'll find a way to get you back to the Feywild. And literally like went and found, he had the means because he was wealthy enough to like find scrolls and stuff. Gets him back to the Feywild to his family. An archfey takes note of it, like this benevolent act, and arranges to essentially get him out of his pact with his devil and is in a pact with this archfey. And then so he can use those powers to continue aiding people. Yeah, I never got around to writing the name for that guy.
You should have just like pulled one off the list with a lot of apostrophes.
Anything else?
I am story satisfied.
All right. Well, in that case, that'll do it for tonight. I still don't know if I'm going to do another one. I think I'd like to, but I'm waiting for some things to see if we're going to
Pending.
if I'm going to have time, that kind of thing. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully in the next week or two I'll have more information on that. But I'll let everyone know when I know. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks you guys for playing the entire campaign. I had a good time.
yeah.
Yeah. Good time.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.